Banga. Make a call, make a bomb, 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 make a call, make a chippity bomb.
Hey guys, welcome or welcome back if you are a returning subscriber. If you are new here, I hope you stick around and consider joining the journey. So as you guys can see, we are in my office today, and I can't believe I'm really about to say this, but happy Q4. We are into fall now, and fall means end of the year performance review time in corporate America. I haven't shared a ton about what I do for work, but I have been in the corporate space for some time, almost a decade now. So I am so excited to share this video because I think that there's a lot that can be said about ensuring that you have the most fruitful and reflective conversation that you can with your manager at the end of the year. This should also be happening periodically throughout the year. So today I'm here to share a couple of tips and tricks that you can have in your back pocket when you go into your end of year conversation, and also some things that you can do to help prepare before you go into that conversation. So without further ado, let's hop into my top 5 pieces of advice for your end of year conversation. I will be periodically looking down at my phone just to make sure that I'm capturing all the notes correctly. But that is honestly one of the things that you should first start out with. So you shouldn't go into the conversation blindly at all. You should have a general understanding of where you stand with your manager, and you should have this knowledge because the hope is that throughout the year, you are tracking your accomplishments. So this could be something as simple as an Excel document that you have or a Word document that you have, just notating some of the things that you've accomplished throughout the year. And if there are any metrics that you could tie to those, I highly encourage you to document those as well. So when questions get asked about the value of the things that you've accomplished, you have something top of mind and already notated that you could speak to. So that would be my first piece of advice. Track your accomplishments throughout the year. And even if you don't deem them huge, you never know how something that you do can impact maybe a future process or a future project that may come about. So make sure that you're taking notes and documenting your successes throughout the year. The next thing I would suggest bringing your professional development plan. And that just helps your manager know that you are thoughtful about your future at the company, or just your future in general. And it also gives them an understanding of what your career goals are and how you hope to accomplish those goals through some of the projects that you may be working on. Maybe you're taking a secondment and doing a different role for a few months to get some exposure in another area of the business. But being prepared with that development plan really helps your manager have an understanding of what you are interested in, so that they can better support you as they're having different talent conversations throughout the year as well. The next thing I would be sure to come prepared to discuss is any compensation or promotional opportunities that may be available. So if you've been in your role for some time and you are ready to advance to that next role or that next step or that next team, this is the time where you want to make sure that your manager is aware of that. And this is going to be separate from a development plan, because this is going to be actionable within the next maybe fiscal year, so to speak. So you want to make sure that you come prepared to discuss any promotions that may be on the table. And also you want to make sure that you have an idea of what the compensation looks like, not only for that role, but what your expectations are. And that is going to involve doing some research. You don't just want to go out there and throw out a number that you don't have any documentation or knowledge to support why you feel like the compensation for that role is what you all discuss. So doing your research to make sure that you have information about future promotional opportunities and the compensation that comes along with that is going to be extremely important as well. The fourth thing is going to be, if there are some things that are top of mind for you that have not been going as well, you're going to want to come prepared with that information as well. So tip number 4 would be not to hide any significant concerns that you have. So you want to make sure that if something came about throughout the year that you feel you needed some additional support on that maybe you didn't get, or you are having some issues that are preventing you from performing at your optimal performance in your role, then you want to be sure that that is brought to your manager's attention. And honestly, this shouldn't be the first time that they're hearing something like that, especially if this has been an issue that has been happening for some time. So ensuring that you have documentation to support the claims that you're making is also going to be important. I am a firm believer in keeping your receipts. I have a folder in my professional inbox that houses conversations that I had that I know could potentially come up in the future, and I would need to refer back to those for any reason. So making sure that you have your receipts as you go into these conversations, bringing something up that has been causing some issues on your end is going to be extremely beneficial as well. So again, being prepared with the information regarding any concerns you have is going to be tip number 4. The last thing I'm going to say, and this is a thing that I want to expound on the most, because oftentimes we go into these conversations with how we expect the conversation to go already in our heads. And if you don't have the best relationship with your manager, you may be going into this on the defense, and that is going to automatically set a negative tone for the meeting. So tip number 5 would be to choose all your words with care. Before you go into the conversation, make sure that you have all of your ducks in a row so that anything you say, you have documentation to support why you're saying it. But you also don't want to go in on the defense, and you also don't want to go in overly optimistic, because you want to be receptive to any feedback, constructive feedback that your manager has for you, to ensure that you guys are on the same page about your performance. So an example of that would be, if you launched a project and it didn't go well and it's fresh on your mind, you may come into the meeting with a sour attitude, and your manager may be thrilled about the work that you've done, but you may automatically set the tone for the meeting just with the attitude that you walk into the conversation with, and that isn't going to be productive at all. So not only should you choose your words wisely, but just make sure that your attitude is in the right place. Whether you have to meditate before the meeting, have some tea, set a time that you know that you won't be interrupted, so that you can really be present during the conversation to ensure that you are getting the most out of the conversation, because ultimately it's about your career. This is not an exhaustive list at all of all the things that I think are important for end of year conversations, mid-year conversations, check-ins, whatever they may be. But I do think that if you come into the meeting with the tips that I notated, that you will be successful in having a conversation with your manager about whatever your goals were for the year, where you think you landed, any future opportunities that are on your radar. Just coming prepared with some information and documentation about what you want to talk about is going to be extremely beneficial for the both of you. And it also shows that you're taking initiative for your career. A lot of times we put our development in the hands of our leadership, and although they are an integral part of your success, you should also own your own career. So that's going to involve doing your research, advocating for yourself, ensuring that you're making those connections throughout the organization so that you are sought after as opportunities become available. And it also shows that you have a skill set that allows you to not only be an asset to be an advocate for yourself, but it shows just initiative and making sure that you are always showing up as your best self, regardless of the conversation. There is a lot of formal documentation that goes along with the performance conversation, but just ensuring that you have your own documentation ready to go is going to be extremely important as well. Another thing that I'd add is, I've mentioned throughout the conversation that you should be having these conversations frequently. Coming to every meeting with your manager and having something around your development to talk about is going to be extremely important as well. You don't want to get to the end of the year and you're bringing things to them that they haven't heard at all. So making sure that as you're having check-ins and one-on-ones, and like I said, mid-year conversations, you are keeping these things top of mind. If you work at a company or you are in a role where there are actual quantifiable numbers tied to your role, that's always going to be something that is highly regarded. So if you can come and say, I grew the business X amount of percent, and these are the steps I took to achieve that, or these are the programs that I ran to help achieve that number, that's going to be extremely impactful as well. Again, just shows that you are taking ownership of your career and really proud of the work that you do. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to the end of this video. I hope that you found it extremely beneficial, and I hope that you are feeling prepared and confident as you go into your end of year conversations. I would love to chat about this a little more, so feel free to drop some comments in the chat below about what you do to prepare for your end of year conversations. Are you a person that is documenting your wins throughout the year? How do you bring difficult conversations to your manager? Would love to just chat about that a little more. So feel free again to drop some conversation topics in the comments below, and I would love to engage with you all about that. Looking forward to our next little career chat. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.